like to welcome everybody to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for Tuesday, September the 25th. I'd like to invite PAC 298 to come up to the podium now. We're quite honored tonight that they're going to give the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance and also the Scout honor, correct? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, gentlemen, it's all yours.
I'm going to do the invitation first. Okay. All right, we're going to do this. All right. Let us all bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts and blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for the wisdom and the foresight of our predecessors, for giving us a democratic government with the opportunity for a free society. We thank you for the courage and the bravery of our servicemen and women who have fought and sacrificed and continue to fight to maintain our freedoms we have today. We thank you for our local heroes, our police, our firefighters, and other agencies that work together to promote the health, the safety, and the welfare of our community. We thank you for these scouts, for young minds with a thirst for knowledge, and thank you for the opportunity to come together, all of us, citizens and leaders in fellowship. We thank you for the leadership of our Mayor, Ken Moore, for the aldermen and other city leaders here today. We pray for your continued guidance and their wisdom as they work to resolve the issues that are presented before them today. In all this we pray in the Lord's name. Amen.
Amen.
And the
Will you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And it's custom with our PAC that after the Pledge of Allegiance, we recite the Scout Oath. Any of you guys that have been Scouts or know the Scout Oath can feel free to join along. On my honor,
I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law,
to keep myself
physically strong, morally awake, and morally straight.
Thanks for doing that. Every troop in Franklin is jealous. So you tell them to come on. Thanks for showing up. Next is an opportunity for citizen comments. I have no citizen comment cards, so we'll move on to communications from the Williamson County Commission. I don't see anyone, and so we'll then go to the approval of the minutes from September the 1st, September the 11th, 2018 work session, Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting, and the September 17th special work session. Is there a motion?
Second.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford, second by Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. I now have a proclamation to read. I'd ask Chief Garzrak to come up. And so this is a proclamation for Fire Prevention Week. So whereas the City of Franklin is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living and visiting Franklin, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally in homes of the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and the majority of U.S. fire deaths occur at home each year, and whereas Franklin residents should identify places in their home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards, and working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas Franklin's residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room outside each separate sleeping area on every level of the home, and Franklin's residents should listen to the sound of the smoke alarm, and when it sounds, respond by going outside immediately to the designated meeting place. And whereas Franklin residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire, whereas Franklin's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week theme, Look, Listen, Learn, Be Aware, Fire Can Happen Anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I, Dr. Ken Moore, Mayor of the City of Franklin, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as Fire Prevention Month throughout the city.
Mr. Mayor, as you're going back to your spot, I want to highlight, since you have Chief Garzrick here today, that our team members that were deployed as part of the Hurricane Florence response, we had 13 folks from police and fire that were there. They have returned now from a 13-day deployment to assist our neighbors in South Carolina. So I want to thank those folks for their fine work and for stepping up to help others. So thank you so much.
Okay, we're ready for the consent agenda. If there's no other reports, then all items under the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body, and they will be approved as recommended by committee or staff by one motion. Tonight, we're considering items number 9 through 22.
Move for approval.
Second.
Appropriate motion by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 4, this is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2018-44, first quarter 2019 budget amendments. Does anyone want to speak to that issue? If not, I declare the public hearing closed. We'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Blanton. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 5, consideration resolution 2018-69, a resolution of support to present the city's Franklin's history to a fuller extent through the addition of historic and memorials that commemorate the African-American experience in Franklin. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Seconded by Alderman Bransford. Open for discussion. Any discussion or comments? Mr. Stuckey.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just highlight one thing for the board before you go into further discussion. We did slightly modify the resolution that's before you. The language was changed a little bit to talk about the placement of historic markers on public property in and around the city square. So that's a slight language change, but helps make it clear that the intent is for additional markers to be placed on land that we, as a community, as a city, own and control. And so is intentionally written that broadly so that if there's any question, we just want to put it on property that we control. And that better describes that than the language we had a few weeks ago.
Okay, everybody understand the modification that occurred?
I'd like to clarify one thing on that. Where does it say here, Mr. Stuckey, that says public land?
In or around
Look at item number 1 under the be it resolved,
I don't see public land there, though.
public property. Let me pull it up. The establishment of additional historic markers on public property in and around or around the city square.
Yeah.
No,
That-
it's not on mine. There's no public property here. So,
There's the
it's
first
missing.
resolution.
It's not on mine, so,
You may need to refresh your
yeah. I
iPad.
will, I thought I did
Here's mine
already.
if you like.
No, that's fine. Let me just take a look at it again. What number was that? Number 5?
See it right there.
Vicky, go ahead and move it up so we don't
Still
see
isn't
it.
coming up. Yeah, mine's not saying public property, though.
Yeah, that's right there on the, if you want to see it on there.
Or you turn
So I
around and
was
see it
just,
there on the TV also.
Yeah, I saw it on hers. What else am I missing off in here then? No, okay. If you'll indulge me for 1 second, I think there was another question. I'll speak to it later, that's fine, I got that one. Thank you.
When do you anticipate speaking to it? Do we have a motion? We're ready to vote.
Oh, to vote? I didn't know if you I thought it was just to Mr. Stuckey's.
No, the board's opportunity to speak now. Do
Okay.
you want to be recognized?
Sure.
Okay. Alderman
I do have a question. My one question is, the number one says the establishment of additional historic markers, and then it obviously said public property in there somewhere, and on the area in or around the city square that reflects the element of community history related to the experience of African Americans before, during, and after Civil War, American Civil War. Is there any time period limited, because it says after the American Civil War? That could be from then until 2018. So I just wanted to clarify if markers would be addressing other issues. I fully support this. I just want everybody to know I fully support this, but I've just had that question about the time limit on it. If markers are, we have some of the wording that might change, but the wording could change on the markers, and is there a time limit on that? I thought this was to center around the Civil War itself. So that was
Let me go ahead and
my question. I just want it
clarify.
clarified.
Yeah, so we've included the latest draft we had for language that touches on those elements, and the post-war component is centered on the Reconstruction period. So that's specifically what you have in front of you. What I would suggest we do is, if the board passes this resolution tonight, we would continue to work with this project. You would provide that endorsement, and we would work with the members of the public who have stepped up and brought this concept forward, but also connect them with the Battlefield Preservation Commission to look at the content and make sure that what we bring forward ultimately in finalizing that and getting other input is complete, and ultimately bring that back to the board. Then that we also work with the Historic Commission about the nature of the signs, not the content, but the Historic Zoning Commission. Just, they look at things that are installed in and around our historic areas, so we'd have them provide some insight and review. And that ultimately, especially when you look at the second item, which is the statue, that we may plug in our new Public Arts Commission as well to help assist in that process. So you can, with your endorsement, we move forward with engaging even more of our community in advancing this initiative.
Alderman McClendon.
On, when we get to item 2, if we select a piece of property that is owned by the city, it will be my request and recommendation that we do that by granting a deed to some appropriate organization so that that organization owns that property in perpetuity, because as we all now know, that matters.
Good point.
Alderman Bransford.
I just want to add also with the markers, as far as working with different groups in the community, we should also look at the civil rights movement. I think that may be one of the things that may be mentioned, but that will be up to the group that's working on the markers.
Okay.
I'll recognize Alderman Barnhill.
How many is additional?
What's been proposed right now is 4.
Okay, so the additional is 4.
That's the specific proposal that was brought to you.
Okay.
So is that what we're voting on for?
No?
There's no
You can
number.
clarify that
There's
in
no
the
number
resolution
there.
if you'd like to make an
There is
amendment.
no number.
I don't know how many it takes.
Neither do I.
The important component, you have a recommendation that's come to you. You can continue to work with those concepts You know, 4 markers is what's been proposed at this point. The statue is another component. They all will work together to help tell the story more completely. So what you're being asked to consider tonight is really an endorsement of this concept and moving forward. We've given you the specific examples that were proposed, but that can continue to evolve too with additional community feedback, engagement of these commissions that the city appoints that may touch on elements of this, and continue to be a broad-based community effort, which has been what's brought us to this request to begin with.
Anybody else want to
She can
speak
go
to
first.
No,
Alderman
that's right.
Berger?
You haven't spoken yet, Brandy.
Okay, I'll be real brief.
Please go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank everybody who came out tonight to fill this room. I've been pretty clear about my feelings for this, but I do think that after deferring it for a month, that's not changed, but I think we're trying to move forward on this in a generic way so we can fill in the blanks together as a team. And I'm not putting myself as a part of that team, but what has been interesting is to see how we've received letters just in the past week from different entities that have stood up to show support to the 4 gentlemen who originated this idea. And it's great to see democracy work in a really even keel sort of way, that we're all balancing and telling a fuller story, or that's the goal. So I will be supporting it.
Anybody else want to speak before I recognize Alderman Berger? Alderman Berger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've supported this all along as well, and I'm not here to speak against it at all, so don't interpret my questions as that at all. But our city's history surrounds the Civil War, and then when this is brought to us, this was brought to us to tell the fuller story there. So, Alderman Bransford, my concern is if we continue to do additional markers and go outside the Civil War and the Reconstruction period, and you go into, tonight you mentioned the Civil Rights Movement, that would put us in the 1960s, and so my concern is, I thought this was concentrating on our history here at the period of the Civil War. And I think that's the appropriate place to do that. I love the fact that we've had a proposal for another statue. I think that is extremely appropriate. I've met with Mr. Jacobson, and we've talked about the markers. I've been very supportive of those, but I really don't want to continue to expand and get away from the focus that I think we are here for, because we may have other groups and other people coming in and wanting to tell more of the history up to today. So that's just a concern I have. It's not a negative to me. It's just a concern that we really keep the focus of why these gentlemen brought this to us in the first place, and that we focus on that fully.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Bransford.
that's the beauty of my colleague on the board here, Mr. Mayor, is I would like for my fellow colleagues to know that this is an opportunity where many people will be able to come and make these decisions and give us input on how we should best tell the full story. And unfortunately, back in the day, there was limitations on who could tell what when. So this is a great opportunity. We don't want to make the same mistakes that some of our forefathers did. So I think rather than limit it, let's see what the will of the people, Mr. Mayor, want to see us do as a board.
Any other comments from the board? Ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll move on to item number 6. Item number 6, consideration of resolution 2018-74, a resolution to select the utility design concept for the Columbia Avenue widening and improvements project. I'd call your attention that as I asked for a motion, the resolution gives you 2 choices, option 1 or option 2. So I'd entertain a motion.
I move for approval with option 1.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Okay.
Point of order. May we just wait a moment till people exit? Because this is an important item, and I want to make sure we're hearing it. Thank you.
No, nobody can hear me.
Wondering about that?
It's just, yeah, it's just ended on there.
Oh, I was wondering about, are you in charge of that?
Did you get a second on option one?
No, I feel left out in the cold.
I'm going to ask Alderman Blanton to repeat her motion now
Yes,
that
sir.
we've about cleared the room out.
I move to approve with option number 1.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Barnhill. Now open for discussion. Alderman Martin.
I know that it sounds like a lot of money to put these utilities underground, but I have heard many comments this week, in the last 2 weeks, that we are doing all this work out there and we're still gonna have overhead utilities. We're not paying for the road, so I would support option 2. I will vote against option 1, but I would support option 2.
Any other discussion or comments,
I have a
Alderman
couple of
Branch?
comments regarding sidewalk on the opposite side. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Any other comments? You ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No,
Passes 7-1. Next is item number 7, consideration resolution 2018-73, a resolution to select the pedestrian design concept for the Columbia Avenue widening and improvements project. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve sidewalks on one side?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if there was a 1 or 2.
I think it's
Not the way it's
D,
written.
concept D.
It's not.
That's what the resolution says.
Yeah.
So it's just a motion to approve the
Just,
resolution.
yeah. as
Yeah,
is.
and option D, I think the one place has the 6 foot, you can see it, but it doesn't say sidewalk, but it's there.
Do we have a second? If not, I'll second.
This is sidewalks on one side.
Appropriate motion and second. Any
Who's
discussion?
the second? Randy did second, okay.
Okay,
So we're voting on sidewalk, one side only. That's the
On
motion.
the west side.
okay.
Correct.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Branch,
discussion, are we in discussion?
you're ready for discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. On the opposite side that the sidewalk will not be, that will be the east side? Okay. There are opportunities along that east side that we can put some sidewalk. There are certain frontage that will allow for sidewalks, pieces of sidewalks to go. I just want to see if there's any flavor or any interest in creating some gaps of sidewalks on the east side where it will fit easily without interfering with parking, and a couple other things.
Speak to that.
That's just my comment. I mean, I would like to hear any. other-
Comment, but not an amendment.
No, not amendment this time. I just want to see if there's.
Alderman
I'd like
Berger.
to speak to that comment. I get that, Pearl, and I sort of like that idea, but at the same time, if you look at it, then you end up with a sidewalk to nowhere. So I don't know if that's really practical, because you might have a business and then you pick and choose who gets the sidewalk, and then somebody walks on it, and then you go to nowhere. And so I think either we do both sides or we do one side. And as this is, I can't support this. I cannot support sidewalks on one side. I just can't.
Other board members?
I was just gonna ask for a clarification, Paul. If we did that, Would that require us to put some pedestrian facilities in at certain locations that aren't in the plan now? Would that affect the plan at all? I'm not sure.
Right, because I
want
think
Paul to
that's-
maybe address that for everybody. If we did some segments on the east side,
now.
how would that change how the road would function and what we'd need to do with the project?
So what it would do is we would look at some of the properties that have large green areas out front where there's really no impact to the
The
businesses.
old CPS buildings.
Yes,
That's right,
yeah,
that's a good example. The other thing it allows us to do is better facilitate transit long-term, and where it makes sense and can be done reasonably, we could look at that and add that as a potential option. It would accommodate transit, and we would connect them via some of the signals as to where we could have access across Columbia Avenue on certain tracks only is what we would have to look at.
Do we need to make an amendment to that?
I think so.
Alderman Blanton, I recognized you.
Well, I mean, I have no problem with that. I think as long as it's, and I don't know how you word that, as long as it's not going to,
Minimal impact.
yes, but I think that we need to be a part of where that is and the business owners. So I don't know how you add that as an amendment because it's pretty loosely worded.
Do you want us to say, direct staff to identify segments on the, sidewalk segments on the east side?
Absolutely.
That would easily.
Identify.
Less
That
impact,
will fit
No
with-
impact.
Yes, fit within the design concept or fit, something like that, and then
And I
we'll
think-
need to bring it back to you.
Well, because there would be places and intersections where you could get up to the light and cross.
Yes.
So, the amendment, as I understand it, is the
word
direct
it.
staff
Do
to,
you need an amendment?
she's made an amendment.
I know you did.
I haven't got a second yet. I'm trying to
I'm second
clarify her amendment.
Second amendment.
Well, you don't know what it is yet.
Oh, okay. You said you don't have a
You,
second.
you know, you want to explain
I
it?
said something, but I can't remember.
I know what it is. I just.
I think the amendment that I understood from Alderman Blanton was to
Direct staff.
direct staff to evaluate areas where sidewalks could be placed on the east side that could also link up with opportunities for pedestrian crossways, crosswalks.
Yes, but not
And-
all around.
May I second that now?
You may. Okay, the amendment is open for discussion. Alderman Berger.
Go ahead.
No, he had
Your
mentioned
amendment.
transit because he had mentioned transit. We had talked about how these are mom and pop shops along that stretch. These are, some of our older businesses, and we have a lot of employees in that area. So if there is transit opportunity, I'm sure that's good. That would be a good thing. Because we want to keep these employees working along Columbia Highway. If you're going to True Value to work and you need to get on a trolley and be dropped off somewhere, I think that'll be convenient because that saves that person having to buy a vehicle. So that, it's a positive.
Alderman Berger, then Alderman, the
Okay.
Vice Mayor.
I'm not trying to diss on this, honestly, I'm not, but I'm trying to figure out how this actually would be a benefit to us and to the people on Columbia Avenue, the businesses, the people that would be there. So, Paul, I'm asking you for a professional opinion. Logic tells me this is a sidewalk to nowhere. Logic tells me piece of sidewalk, nothing, nothing, piece of sidewalk, nothing, nothing, another piece of sidewalk. To me, that doesn't seem logical, doesn't seem reasonable, doesn't seem the thing to do. But in a sense, Pearl said something about, if you have transit there, you sort of want a sidewalk somebody can stand on. And if it's near one of the roads that goes back to housing, maybe that sounds about right. So from a professional opinion, I personally want sidewalks on both sides. Be done with it, get it done, do it, because we'll never come back and do this again. You don't want to retrofit in that area. In 15, 20, 30 years from now, people say, gosh, why didn't they put sidewalks on both sides? Because the whole place is sort of turned around and it has a different atmosphere over there, or even more of walkability or transit, and now we really need the sidewalks. So we as a board are being short-sighted with that if we actually look in the future. So that's why I think it's important to have sidewalks on both sides. We've got, as I said many times, quit looking here, let's look out here. And let's actually be forward thinking about that, because it may be very necessary. So as a professional opinion, the idea of putting a piece here, a piece there, am I right, is that a sidewalk to nowhere, or is it got some validity?
Yeah, professional opinion's always gonna be to put sidewalk on both sides of the street. I will say that there are definitely a few businesses that has a pretty major impact on it. And so if we can identify certain stretches of corridor, getting that would be much, much better than doing none at all.
Yeah.
A much better option.
And the transit component is an important piece, because then you could have a stop on the east side of the road and drop people off, and then they could use that segment of sidewalk to connect
All right.
to a crosswalk and then get to a business on the west side or whichever. So just having at least some meaningful segment could help provide
Yes.
a transit drop-off place on Columbia on that east side. So that's a significant benefit.
I'm open to this. I'm not close-minded about it at all. I'm open to it, but it just seems like, no, we need to do it on both sides and do it right. Do it right, be done with it, do it right the first time.
Yeah.
I just don't think we're doing a service to the future of Franklin by not doing it both sides. And so
Any
I
other-
really have a hard time with this.
Margaret?
Any, Alderman, Vice Mayor, excuse me, I was about to omit you from the conversation.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but we could very easily develop that option to bring back at any point in time the board would like to review that other option. It's not much of an effort at a staff level.
Okay.
I would support that option, for you to look into that. I personally would like to see sidewalks on both sides, but if that is going to really harm some of those businesses over there that will lose their entrance, then I'm happy to support this.
Alderman Peterson.
I just have a question in terms of, that we are not paying for any of this. How does that work with who is paying? In terms of saying that we do not have a final plan?
I can tell you the history as it's been since I've been at Franklin is TDOT has generally relied on the locals to make these decisions at a local level. Now, they are paying for the road with state and federal funding, so ultimately they will have to approve it. And we will obviously advocate for whatever the direction is of the board. And since they've delegated this as a local project, I believe that we would have their support whichever direction that we go.
So in other words, it would not cause any delay?
No.
Okay, any other discussion on the amendment? Alderman Speedy.
I guess my thoughts would be again, the sidewalks on one side, there are so many places in our city that we don't even have sidewalks on one side. Lewisburg Avenue, Lewisburg all the way to McHatcher. I would rather see us get one side of sidewalks and connect the entire city before we really explored two sides of the street.
But
Al-
the key word,
What, go pull the hand up.
the key word in the amendment was to get staff to identify, not to finalize the plan at staff's
We'll need
discretion.
to bring it back to you.
So, just wanted to clarify that. We're on the same page, right?
Alderman
We'll bring
Barnhill.
it back.
Well, and honestly, that's what this is all about anyway. We need to know the general design direction so that we can have good, meaningful conversations with property owners about some of the access management pieces. So
Great.
you're gonna see a design come back regardless, but setting this direction helps us know and answer some important questions when we look at options with property owners.
Got it. Thank you.
Alderman Barnhill.
I don't think you needed an amendment to direct staff to look at this partial change that we wanted to make. The option that we want to go to is the option on sidewalks on one side only. Now, if there's some places, and I mentioned CPS because that's the widest open space there is, I guess, out through there, you could possibly put a sidewalk down there. I guess the soccer people might want to use that for something or other. if they were going to, I don't guess they probably don't go to Hardee's or whatever they go to, but I don't, you know, just to direct staff does not need an amendment to the resolution that we've got in front of us.
Sean is saying, yeah.
You do?
I would like that direction.
You okay?
Staff, it's
Then
helpful for
I'll-
us
then
to
that's
know that,
fine.
so,
I'll support the amendment
yeah,
then.
it would be good for us to have that.
Any other discussion on the amendment?
Ridiculous.
Ready?
Yeah,
Alderman Berger?
okay. I have two questions now. Shauna, is that, what if can we do that without an amendment? I really think we
Sure you
could.
can.
Well, you could, but the whole point of this resolution is to get direction from you on what you want to begin with. And so the options have been laid out, you know, one side
Yeah.
sidewalk, one
No.
side the other. We just need to know how you feel about it. And now a new option's been brought up, but we need to know, is that how the whole board feels or just a couple? And we really do need to get a vote
All
on
right,
it.
so my question, my other question I really wanted to ask was, so have we ever so the sidewalk is being put on the west side, not the east side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And, so have we ever identified the number of businesses who lose parking if we put the sidewalk on the east side? And if so, how many parking spaces each of those businesses would lose? I mean, I don't know. I don't have that information.
Again, we could bring that exhibit back pretty quickly, almost at the next available
Yeah,
agenda
but if
to show it.
but if we vote tonight and we vote for one side, then we're done. We're done. So I don't have the opportunity to say how many businesses, if we put the sidewalk on the east side, how many businesses do we really impact? And does somebody lose one space? Does somebody lose 10 spaces? I don't know
I
that.
think you're straying from the original
But I don't-
amendment,
But I don't know
Alderman
how to
Berger.
vote on the amendment if I don't have this information.
We're directing staff to bring about options for sidewalks on the east side in certain areas. And that's, staff would then bring that
Can they bring
back
this
for us.
information?
That you're asking for as far as number of parking spaces? I'm sure
Yeah,
they
we can do
will.
that. It wouldn't
That'll
take
all be
long.
part of what the final design helps us do.
Yeah.
And telling us that you want us to explore these segments helps us know what you're looking
Okay,
for in
okay.
that final
Then-
design.
Then clarify one more thing for me, so I know how to vote on this. Then, if that is the case, and you bring that back to us as well, and after we vote on the amendment, we vote on the resolution, and we vote for one sidewalk, one side sidewalk, then that's, why do I need that information any longer?
It'll come back as a new resolution.
It would come back basically as a new resolution to approve the sidewalk on the east side as well, is what we would look for.
You would bring
We
it back?
don't make the decisions
All
of
right.
where these things go. We just.
It'll come back in the form of the design that we
Okay.
All right,
we
got
bring
it.
you.
Thank you. I'm good.
Okay, you ready to vote on the amendment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The amendment passes unanimously. Now we're ready to go back to the motion as amended. Any comments? You ready to vote?
This is for
All
one
in fa-
side. Correct.
Option D.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
As
Option
amended.
C. Did we just
D
make
as
another
amended.
option?
Well, we amended,
We have an amendment on the floor.
we amended option D
Oh,
to include sidewalk segments on the east side, is my understanding, is directing the board.
Clarification, that's segments, Mr. Mayor, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 7-1. Next is item number 8, Resolution 2018-71, a resolution of reimbursement of certain project expenditures to be funded from general obligation bond proceeds. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second?
That was a quick second.
Yeah, yeah.
Trying to build some momentum.
Yeah.
Who was it second? Alderman Bransford did the second. So any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Is there a motion to adjourn?
No, we need executive session.
Is there a motion to go into executive
So
session?
move.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Go into executive session.
Move to adjourn.
Appropriate motion, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. You're dismissed.